over the coastline here in North Queensland. And it's so picturesque up here. Imagine what it'd be like from a couple thousand feet up in the sky as we get ready to unleash the Utes around Townsville. Over 30 of them and plenty of concrete moss.
Yeah, absolutely. This really is a fantastic track, one that the drivers really enjoy. And like we've spoken about, it's sort of a bit of a mix between a permanent road course and a street circuit. So that's why it is so challenging. And of course, being a street circuit, no margin for error with those concrete barriers.
A couple of onboards to watch out for. Century Batteries on board with Elliot Barber. He was exciting here last year. He actually turned this guy around in one of our races, Andrew Fisher. Sitting nice and pretty in the points so far.
I think from memory that was a wild moment into turn 2, which is, of course, one of the great passing opportunities here at the Townsville Street Circuit.
So keep an eye on them as they do go filing all the way down into turn 2. It's going to get very tight down there. Renko on board with Jeremy Gray. Actually won a race here a couple of years ago as well. Looks like we're set on the grid. Green flag at the back. The V8 Utes fueled by Hogs Breath Cafe up here in Townsville. Red light is on. The two championship leaders on the front row. Someone slow away from the middle, but it looks like we're all moving. 2 cars stalled at the back. Oh, and Walton moved over harshly, and there was nearly contact. And Dixon with a good start around the outside. He was the first of the Commodores, and he might just have the lead on the approach to turn 2. Good job from Jesse Dixon, leader into turn 2.
Can the rest of the field make it through turn 2? Very tight here, but Dixon's run it wide on the exit of turn 2, giving that lead up to Walton. So perfect start now for Walton. He'll be happy with that. Another trouble spot here into turn 3, gets really tight. Oh, here we go. Fisher all locked up. We've got guys going over the curb.
A couple of guys taking liberties with the curbs. You can hear the front tyres squealing. Oh, this might not work. 2 at a time going through turn 5. Somehow they sorted out by turn 6, and Walton is your leader. Elliot Barber with a look up the inside of Marjoram. These two had a moment here last year, and Marjoram's going to hold onto that spot as they go through turn 8. But Walton is your leader. Cedars relegated back to 3rd, so not a great start for the pole sitter.
And Walton going defensive into turn 11, so Dixon got the lights on. He'll be kicking himself about that mistake in turn 2 because he did such a great job getting a good start and managed to go around the outside of Walton into turn 2, but couldn't hold it. So end of the first lap. Tell you one guy who will be disappointed, David Cedars gave up that pole position. He sits in 3rd, and a bit of action back here in the pack. Oh, Andrew Fisher up the inside. Contact there, lucky to get away with it.
Very close at the exit, but somehow we managed to put 1 lap down in the books. Riding on board with Jeremy Gray, and Walton still your leader as they approach turn 2. Dixon needs to get this job done in a hurry, and so too does Cedars. He doesn't want to let Walton skip away with that championship lead as the lockups continue.
Nathan Pretty up the inside, Blanchard there in the 42 Commodore. Blanchard we've seen make some appearances as in the guest car over years at V8 Utes, but driving one of the Williams Race Tech Commodores. Hasn't actually been to a racetrack, you were telling me, Chad, since Homebush last year. Of course, Tim driving one of the DJR Falcons last year, but obviously thought he'd blow the cobwebs off and come up to Townsville, enjoy a bit of sun, get amongst the V8 Utes.
Did a good job just to qualify inside the top 10. Craig Dontis has had a pretty good year so far in the series. Oops, here we go. We're talking about Blanchard earlier, and Wayne Wakefield, who's been a busy boy so far this year. He was involved in a number of skirmishes up in Darwin.
He certainly was the talk of the town up in Darwin, probably for all the wrong reasons. He's got Ryle Harris behind him, so Ryle was looking quite strong in qualifying yesterday for the first couple of sessions, but faded, unfortunately, in the last session. The Utes have this great sort of Formula 1 style qualifying system. I was watching it yesterday. It was quite interesting to watch. So a bit of a knockout system, and eventually ends up being 10 cars. Here's a replay of the start.
Now, where did the start go wrong for Sideways Cedars? Just slow to jump.
It looked like he got a good initial jump, but it was a secondary part of the start that Walton was better at, and a bit of contact there. So Cedars probably not too happy about that onboard here of Craig Dontis, who gets a good start. Who was that was slow away? Andrew Fisher in the Jesus Falcon. So,
and I think it was Kim Jane who actually stalled it on the start line as well. Winner of race 1 here last year. And this is everybody trying to file their way through turn 8. And around goes Peter Burnett, with Phil Woodbury taking evasive action and doing a good job to miss him. This was on board with Jeremy Gray with Andrew Fisher.
Fisher into the back of McLeod.
That worked out quite nicely for Jeremy Gray. And this was the ride along board with Fisher. Now watch the tailgate in front of you. It's about to get a whole lot bigger down here at turn 3. This is where he pinched the brake. Oh, just a kiss.
Yeah, not uncommon for that to happen, honestly, at turn 3. It really does. Concertina on the first lap, and he's not happy about it, but unfortunately, Andrew, you drove into the back of him, so you should be unhappy at yourself, if anything.
This is the battle back at the front of the field. It's got Reece McNally in there, and also Wakefield hanging on to the back of this group. The Stratco Ute was the quickest in the first sector of qualifying and also the 2 practice sessions. Now, what's happened here to Royal Harris?
Yeah, something's going on there, Chaddy. He's fading big time as a move up the inside.
Oh, Ben Wilson just hip and shouldering the thirsty camel out the way. Covering that line promptly as well. This isn't over just yet. Don just had a pretty good run out of turn 13. Spent a bit of time over the streets of Long Beach watching Indy cars lately. Debuted on the podium, or had his first ever podium up at Clipsal. Bit of contact there as well, and he's just going to do the old bumper run.
Yeah, Donda's probably just returning serve on Wilson there for the bump he gave him at the last corner, and the Commodore back up the inside. So good racing, a bit further back down here in the pack. But I tell you what, Chad, these guys are flying. New lap record for David Cedars on the last lap. So obviously the conditions are really good this morning here at Townsville for the Utes.
Geez, you're not kidding. James, they've knocked a whole second off that record so far as the dust goes flying. Just like a good old-fashioned Ute muster. There is the tool man.
And this battle keeps still going on. We've got a yellow flag out, so...
Oh.
Wilson really big on the aggressive on the curb there at turn 7. Saw that Ute bouncing like a Bronco.
Both the rear wheels up in the air at one point.
Here we go. Blanchard now up the inside of Harris. So I'm not sure if Ryle's got a bit of a problem with that Falcon of his, because he's definitely fading in this race, and it's not something we're used to seeing with Ryle.
Now McLeod's pushed Gray out wide. He's got a couple up the inside of it.
There we go.
There goes the left mirror. I hope he didn't need that. Oh, Fisher! Smacked out turn 13.
Yep.
And around goes McLeod. Tyres screeching. McLeod sitting in a horrible spot. Nolan did a good job to miss him as well. Fisher's got plenty of damage front and rear now.
Now, wouldn't mind betting that was the contact we saw from Jeremy Gray into the back of Andrew Fisher as Jared McLeod lights up that McMahon mining Ute. He'll be unhappy. He probably thinks that it was all Andrew Fisher, but as we saw, Fisher was getting a bit of assistance as Harris again under attack from Wilson this time. So definitely something wrong with that car of Ryle Harris's.
Oh dear. He's won 2 races here in the past, Ryle Harris, but it's not going to happen today. Now, this is how it all unfolded. Gray was on the outside.
3 wide through turn 12 does not work. And
on board with Fisher. Now, this is back a couple corners earlier. The IXL Ute's going to get squeezed out against the wall, first by McLeod. Fisher thinks he can get a bit of a jump up the inside too. There goes Gray. And this is where McLeod got fairly speared.
Here we go. Well, they're into it this morning, aren't they?
They've come to play up here in Townsville so far. It's the Castrol Townsville 500, driven by Tate Queensland. And so far, the Utes, they're putting on a show. This is once again a look down at the Yokohama replay in turn 13. Around they go. We're going to try and sort all this out. We'll have a quick ad break, and we'll find out who's going to win this one on the other side.
Why you must be a girl with shoes like that? She said you know me well.
Welcome back to Reed Park in Townsville, where Chris Walton has taken control of the championship lead, the race lead. Jesse Dixon following him in second position after a good start where David Cedars, your pole sitter, unfortunately for him, fell back to third at the start of the race. And we haven't seen a Holden win the first race of the championship since this event last year. So for Dixon, he's going to try and muzzle his way past one more car to try and right that wrong. Meanwhile, back further in the pack is Miedeke. He's going to have the Auto 1 Ute of the Menace up the inside. Not going to happen there. Pretty up the inside of Barber. That was close.
Thought better of it just at the last minute. Nathan Pretty, obviously, hugely experienced. He knew that he wasn't quite far enough up the inside and thought better of that move. On board now in the Just Car Insurance Commodore with Elliot Barber. So he's working away nice and hard at the back of this Auto 1 Commodore. Coming through turn 5, great section of the track. This is the permanent side of Townsville, of the street circuit. Over the curb at turn 6, a little bit of sideways action on the exit. Now into turn 7 and 8. Really important to grab the curb here at 7 and now get a good exit out of turn 8, because this leads onto a long section under the bridge, over the railway lines. Really bumpy as the car gets really loose in the rear. Fantastic bit of circuit. And into what we call the stadium section, which is really cool from a driving point of view. And Margerman getting a bit loose out of turn 11. Problem here for Andrew Fisher.
He's gone off down the escape road there. Turn 13, the hairpin. And Barber's going to get a bit of an over-under move going here. This could be interesting because Pretty's probably got the best run out of all of them. He just needs to find a bit of real estate. Now, these two had a massive coming together down at turn 2 last year. Marjoram and Barber. They're side by side again. Through turn 1, over 200 k's an hour. Get ready to stand on the middle pedal. And Pretty's going to pick up one spot here, you'd think, if he can get up the inside of the Just Car Insurance.
Oh, bit of contact.
Barber aggressively holding on to that position.
Barber did a good job there to stay in front of Pretty. I thought Nathan would have been able to get through at least on Barber, if not both of them. Nathan was really disappointed with his qualifying effort. I read somewhere that it was actually his worst qualifying here in Townsville in 3 years, so disappointed. But look at these guys. I've got problems here for Fisher. So what we saw before was more than just running through the shortcut at turn 7. He's, by the looks of it, got a bit of dramas under the front of that Falcon, so disappointing for Andrew. But Chris Walton, he is absolutely on fire, Chad. He's lowered that lap record we spoke about even more, and to give you an idea, he's gone quicker than what the pole time was yesterday in qualifying. So he is flying in that Renko machine at the moment.
So far, we've had 16 drivers go under last year's lap record. So the speeds today are quick. That could be a good sign for V8 Supercar qualifying later in the day. Kim Jane trying to find his way back through the pack with the all-purpose pest control ute of Raul Harris. Just wonder what's going on with that car. Maybe bent steering or something going on for Raul, because he's not been his usual self. The man is trying to win a hat-trick of championships in the series.
Yeah, well, way down in 15th, so disappointing for Raul. We'll be hoping that the reverse grid draw is at least around 15 or 16, so he gets a crack at it. But look, Kim Jane was having a look up the inside, but back on now, board with Elliot Barber. This battle continues between him and Marjoram, and it really does look like the Auto 1 Commodore struggling for a bit of pace now in the back half of this race, and Barber is all over him.
These two were fighting for the Rookie of the Year honours last year with Jesse Dixon. Look at the Menace working away on that steering wheel. Barber with a big moment. Kicks up some dust and loses a bit of ground to the back of the Auto 1 Ute. Marjoram on his university holiday break. Doesn't have to worry about exams or class or anything like that right now, just worrying about those mirrors because they're full of Elliot Barber right now.
Yeah, he's got plenty to worry about, that's for sure, Chad. This is a good little battle. Oh, Barber, good under brakes there into turn 11. Gives him a bit of a touch. Look at the back of that Auto 1 Ute step out.
Bit of gamesmanship. That left mirror's already had a bit of a clunk. Now Marjoram should have the sit at 13. Watch Barber go for the over-under again. Just runs it out wide, gets on the gas earlier. Gets a great drive onto the front straight, and they're going to do exactly what they did a couple laps ago.
Yeah, so the only problem with that is it puts Barber on the wrong side for turn 2, but have a look.
Oh, man.
Nothing in it in a straight line between these two.
This is what we like to see. A couple of young guys, beginning of their careers, trying to prove themselves against each other. Barber's going to go the long way. It's
what he needed to do there, Chad, was try and do what he did at the last corner, the crossover, because he would have been on the right side for turn 3. Now, again, he finds himself on the outside. He's trying to squeeze Margerman, who locks the left front into turn 3.
There's a wall
This
out
battle
there.
has got to continue into turn 5.
And finally, he makes that move stick. He worked at it for a few laps. Oh, has he though? Turn 5 and he's sideways. Can he get it turned back for 6? Those white gloves soaring away on the wheel. Sideways once again. Pretty trying to close that gap up as well. He's got Tim Blanchard behind him. Blanchard with a nice move up the inside. They go banging tailgates.
Great racing by those two.
Pretty says, I don't think so, Tim. And he holds onto that spot. The tool man will have to think about that one once more. Just over a lap remaining. Walton, Dixon, Hansford. Hansford has actually made his way up to 3rd on the timing sheet. So Hansford's past Cedars.
Yeah, so we didn't see that, but maybe Cedars might have made a mistake, or Ryan has been very quick in this race, and be interesting to see if we get a replay of that. But final lap, Chris Walton definitely has this one in control. He's just got to bring it home. But I tell you what, Cedars, bit of pressure from McNally now in the Stratco Commodore. So Cedars, he'll be wanting to hold on to 4th, because obviously the championship battle between him and Walton very tight at the top. Doesn't want to give away any points.
Now I wonder if McNally's going to take it easy here, because they are teammates. You don't want to go rubbing wheels with them.
A bit of team orders, Chad.
Maybe, bit of multi-21. I'll tell you what, McNally's got things sorted. 23 years old, owns his own house, owns his own business, goes racing on the weekends.
Sounds like he is living the dream, Chad.
Big time in the Stratco Ute this weekend. Part of that Cedars racing mob. Doing a good job so far. Most improved driver from last year. Won a race in Sandown as the beautiful X-Force exhaust systems fire off a big flame. Only a couple more corners remaining for Chris Walton, your leader. After a couple race wins in Perth, he held that amazing drive in the reverse grid race. He came from 18th to 2nd over in WA. But he's doing it easy off the front row today.
He certainly lights it up in the reverse grid races, but he's lit it up today in race 1. Perfect start to the weekend for Chris Walton. Fantastic job, and very good for the championship as well.
Former Rookie of the Year in the series crosses the finish line, and Chris Killer Walton takes the first race. Race number 10 of the championship, and Cedars will come home for 4th, but the battle back in the pack is not over just yet. That's Ben Wilson on the outside. We've got Gary McDonald in front of us. And we're riding on board with Jeremy Gray, who's gone back a few spots here over the last couple of laps. On the outside, can we hold on to that one? Wilson's fighting away at it. Oh no, there's a problem. Maybe gearbox related. Just stuttering his way to the finish line, and he loses a spot to Phil Woodbury right on the stripe. It was an exciting way to kick off the weekend. These guys will have 2 more races still to come, and Chris Walton takes that race win. And Jesse Dixon, a good job first of the Commodores home in 2nd position, and Ryan Hansford with that move.